Raptors, we've begged, we've pleaded with you. Try to lose some games, and you know what, fellas? The Raptors are not listening. This is Basketball Island. Hein, Hambone, Wes, Fab, and it's very frustrating. They keep winning games. We've said all we can say about how we want them to tank. So let's take a positive spin to all our favorite commenters. And today we're going to focus on some positivity with the Toronto Raptors.
Be positive. That's the way to live.
Feels like gentle parenting.
That is it exactly.
More of a traditional values kind of guy. Myself, but here we are. Positivity.
Me too.
Fab, what positivity do you have for the Raps today? What nice words do you have?
I think what we're seeing is some young guys from the G League getting a chance to shine, like Brampton's own AJ Lawson.
Oh, yeah.
Shot taker, shot maker.
How is it possible we've had the AJ Lawson game twice in the last week?
Oh, yeah, all day.
Listen, this next 17, 18 games, a chance for these guys to carve out a potential spot in the league, and that's exciting. I know it's not flashy, but seeing a guy who's from the city stringing together a couple good games, he had that Orlando game where he hit that massive shot. Whether we think that's a good thing or not remains to be seen. But Orlando Robinson showing some decent signs as a backup big. So, I mean, we have to look at these little things on the margins, especially for a team that the Raptors prided themselves on development the last few years. So can these guys, etch their name into the league? Potentially.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, let's not forget one of the most excitable parts of the championship run was watching the development of the bench mob. That takes time. So these are exactly the kind of they don't matter games that are perfect for this narrative and for this development. So yeah, we all love to see it. Listen, we can all be positive about that. The bench it's supremely weak to start the year. They are head and shoulders better than what we saw 60 games ago.
And ideally, you get like Jonathan Mobo playing, Grady Dick.
Would be nice to see that.
Nice to see them.
Like Jacoby Walter had a good game before he got hurt.
Jacoby.
That sucked.
I mean, the one redeeming quality is probably I got something positive. Jamal Shed.
of course.
Put back dunk. Like,
Oh, that was nasty.
Didn't
That was
really
real
have
nice.
that in
The
him.
bench reaction alone on that was
and he had
fantastic.
the buzzer beater that was taken away because it was off his fingertips. Like, man, we're big Jamal Shed people here, so seeing that is nice. But that's kind of where it ends for me.
Yeah, Hambone took away. I love that he came in with no positive.
Yeah, then he had something.
And then he.
You know what? Our positive energy was infectious.
Yeah,
as a team, we took the biggest curmudgeon and we got a smile on his face. There it is.
Let me go something really, really to the heart. Right? I had this exact one. 6.2. So this is a stat: 6.2 points, 1.3 rebounds, 3.7 assists right now. There's another Raptor that first season had 5.6 points, 3.1 rebounds, 3.2 assists in his first career. In his first year.
Fred VanVleet.
No. Someone even better. Someone even more important than
Kyle Lowry.
that was Kyle Lowry's first season.
I think he.
And he shot 37% from the field in his first season. Kyle Lowry. So I'm not saying it's super.
I think you are.
Okay.
So basically, you compared him to Kyle Lowry.
I'm comparing him to Kyle Lowry, saying that I think there's a ceiling with Jamal Shed that is not being given enough credit for. I'm not saying it. Look, by the fourth season in the NBA, Kyle Lowry still didn't average 10 points a game. He still didn't shoot above 40%. So what I'm trying to say here is development takes time.
Yeah.
And Jamal Shed is getting the opportunity to develop in an environment where I think his leadership really matters in the locker room. I think if anything I like the most about Jamal Shed is he kind of feels like he's the adult in the room, yet he's a rookie. I love that about him. Mm-hmm. I love what he brings to the table. I love the spirit that he brings for, you talk about vibes. This is the exact guy you want in terms of vibes. Kyle Lowry, not really good stats, through his first 4 seasons before he had his moment, kind of in his mid-career.
And his vibes were questionable early, too.
Very early.
Jamal Shed,
he's a moody guy.
Yeah. Jamal Shed, he might not develop some of the touch and the shooting stuff. Okay, I don't know, okay? But, at this level, there are good developmental coaches. Mm-hmm. There are good professionals out there that work on these things. If he can shore those things up, his DNA, I think, is critical to having this team play the right way every
infectious
night.
When you have someone playing that hard and playing that way. It's kind of like us with Hambone right now. The positivity brought it out. When you play that hard, it's going to get other people to want to play that hard.
And I want to see players do well.
So
it's nice. And Jamal Shed, I think if he can be a backup point guard for you going forward as a second round pick, that's a coup. That's a very, very good draft pick. And Yeah, to your point.
I'm saying don't sell him short. I'm saying don't sell him short. Don't sell him short. This
He's
is
Kyle
guy
Lowry. He's gonna be the greatest Raptor of all time.
He could be the greatest Raptor of all time.
So my positivity, and it's not just it's been good the last 5 games, but the defense has legit been good.
Yes.
And let's not just focus on the 5-game sample size. Let's go back the last 2 months. This is we're taping this on March 11th. Since January 11th, this is a team that I think is top 5 or top 6 in defensive efficiency. This is the number 1 team in the NBA in defensive opponent 3-point percentage. No one is defending the 3 better than the Raptors in the last 2 months. So you're seeing the blueprint. And all year you've called out RJ numerous times for his defense. I think RJ looked good defending last night. As a whole, this team is defending. And what I'm wondering is, does Darko how much credit are we giving to Darko for all this positivity? Because it's starting to look like his fingerprints are kind of all over this team now.
Oh, Darko deserves credit for sure. And RJ's actually his on-ball defense has been pretty tough. Like, he's a stout dude, right? So he can guard guys.
Is it safe to say that you've brought this out of Darko? Or sorry, I'll say this again. Is it safe to say you've brought this out of RJ? With some of your chirps there, are you taking credit? Are you a Raps development coach?
If I am, then it's a sad state of affairs. I'll say this. Like, who the hell am I, really? But, like, no, his on-ball D's been good. Like, kind of like that James Harden type thing, right? James Harden, you cannot post that guy up because he's sturdy.
Core strength.
Right? Yeah, so it's like, to me, there are pluses and there are minuses, right? But as a whole, I think the thing about Darko is, like, coaches in general, can you get guys to play hard? And then can they be on a string while playing hard? That's the ultimate, like, to me, eye test when it comes to defenses. And I'll give him credit, man. It's a young team. Hard to get everyone going in the same direction. A lot of guys in and out of the lineup. I think Darko's done a great job, and he deserves more rope. Because next year, like, if you want me to my positive spin, Raptors are probably going to be pretty good next year. Like, all these young guys developing, like, assuming good health. Like, I'm looking towards that. Like, again, we'll talk about Raptors.
What's
future,
good? What's good next year?
I
Like
mean,
what do you consider a good team
Given
next
your
year?
core, this is a playoff team next year, or at least a
you would
play-in to
hope
get
at
in.
worst where Orlando is right now. So right at the top of the
You're
play.
aiming for 40 wins.
I think there's 3 teams clear in the East, or maybe 4 with Milwaukee, and then after that, you're probably in that 5 through 8 or 9, which is fine.
Again,
but you can finish top 6 next year
Like,
potentially.
we're projecting forward, right? But, like, let's assume the salary cap goes up like 7-10 mil, whatever. You're gonna be really tight for money.
course.
So you're not really gonna be able to add anyone significant. You actually end up like losing some guys, but that's why you get guys like Jamal Shed, Jonathan Mobo, Grady Dick, Jacoby Walter. Like, can they shore up your bench? And you roll out next year with RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly, Jakob Poeltl.
Plus top 5 pick, hopefully.
Plus
That's the
plus
big
a
thing.
top
Like,
pick.
Top 5's a stretch.
I think the big thing. At
we'll
this
get to
point, I think the main thing for next year, given what you're paying your core and that it's all vets who can produce, if you add a top 7 pick, you should be. And all this is pending health, and that's a big question with a lot of these guys.
That's the big one.
If you're healthy, you should be fighting for that top 6. And realistically, if you're not in the play-in, that's a major
The
disappointment
Raptors
next year.
could back into like
They get back to the
27
play-in
wins
this year. Potentially.
No, it's
No,
not
I know they're
happening.
5 out, but I'm saying like it's not hard to make the play-in.
They're gonna back into what 26 to 30 wins this year. I mean,
Yeah.
against that's not really great for the franchise, but they're just gonna end up at that point. And they weren't really trying for a lot of time. Like, guys are playing 20, 25 minutes. Like, they're on a notable minutes restriction right now. Next year, with Brandon Ingram, I guess the only question really we have for next year is, do these guys fit together? Which
Yeah.
seems to be a theme with Raptors teams over the last few
I think
years.
when we said it last week, one of RJ or IQ, I think probably will end up having to be the one who moves, but we can't. That all depends on who you draft, what things look like next
That's
year.
way too far. Just as it pertains to the bench, based on how their salaries are set up, they're very top heavy. So the bench has to produce well for them to be successful because you're relying on a lot of young guys on cheap contracts. So if they don't get it done, then your bench is kind of messed up. So
Yeah.
the way you've balanced the team out, it's like you're relying on a lot of young guys next year.
And I think you see some of the most successful young teams in the league right now. A lot of them are hanging their hats on the defensive end. I think adding to your positive about how the Raptors have been of late, that's what you want to see in these final games. If they're going to win games, I don't want to see them win in shootouts. I want to see them get points off turnovers. I want to see them be locked down on the defensive end. That to me would be worth it. Because then that's kind of transferable to the season to come. So what, 15? How many games? 15? 17?
17, I think.
17 games to go. Defense has been improving. Continue that trend line. That's all I think you want to see.
At what
to wrap
point,
the
like,
year.
but this has now been a large enough sample where it's like we have the foundation of a good defensive team, and there's been so many guys in and out of the lineup. I don't really know what to attribute it to, because like that's a large sample size.
It's effort. I think Darko is getting these guys to play hard. I think that's the key.
And Scotty Barnes had a great stretch of
Elevated.
defensive play, and when he's dialed in on the defensive end, he can be like a super disruptor, right? And when we see that from him, it's encouraging. It just doesn't happen all the time, but he has the tools to be, dare I say, like an all NBA type defender when he's focused on it.
Okay, so then that's way too much positivity. Let's get negative, because that's what we do. And let's look at this upcoming schedule and like get all these guys to the bench and let's start losing games. But
So the Philly game's important.
Tankapalooza.
The Philly game at home is very important because I believe you are now tied with Philly, which is kind of crazy.
Are they tied, or are they a game behind?
They're tied. They're a
I think
half
with the
game
win,
behind
I think with the
Brooklyn.
win over the Wizards, wasn't it a half game?
Yeah, because Philly lost to Atlanta,
Yeah.
so now they are tied and they're a half a game behind Brooklyn. So if you have that home game against Philly probably not going to play a lot of guys. I mean, we won't know that game's happening tomorrow. And then you have 6 of 7 on the road.
They're half a game behind Philly.
Yeah, and
Half a game behind Philly. Okay, so but
Same
you're
wins.
you're in there. You're in that little glut
Yeah,
there.
they'll switch if they lose.
You
this
need to lose games, and this is the crucial stretch here. Yes, the opponents are a little easier, but 6 of the next 7 on the road. If again, we're talking about that like top 5, top 7 pick, whatever it is. Like the margins are so thin right now, especially because I don't think anyone expected Philly to be this bad. Brooklyn, like they're winning games, they probably shouldn't either. I can assume their fan base isn't as happy either.
Fan base. What fan?
Yeah,
base is in Brooklyn?
Excellent point by
Wow,
Fab.
shit. All
Excellent.
10 people in Jersey are real pissed right now.
I mean, like again, like the positives, they're nice, but if you're keeping your eye on the prize, this is a must-lose stretch here for the Raptors.
And like Philly's really motivated to lose this game.
Because they're top 6 protected,
Their
right?
stakes are actually worse than Toronto's stakes,
Yep.
and they're gonna full commit. They're gonna fully. I mean, look at the lineups they've been throwing out there, right? I pray to God the Raptors front office is willing to not. I'm not saying to do anything outlandish, just mirror what the others in the league are doing.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I'm
Take
asking.
a page out of Utah's
Like,
book.
Well,
if the others can do it, why can't Toronto?
Yeah.
This game against Philadelphia specifically needs to be. You need to get your hands really dirty. Everyone's got to sit.
Yeah,
you
this is the one.
cannot take any chances.
Philly's gonna sit everyone.
And on another note, can we just Philadelphia? This is a truly embarrassing season.
Oh, yeah.
But hands down, biggest disappointment in the entire NBA.
It is outrageous that Philadelphia is in a tank battle with the Nets and Raptors. Do you remember how this season started?
Title team. People thought Paul George was
52.5 win total.
Yes.
And now they're
52.5. Come on.
and now they're scrambling. They're scrambling to keep their pick. Oklahoma City can get Philadelphia's pick, as if the rich didn't need more money,
It's pretty awesome.
right?
man.
Like, you're telling me OKC is gonna stroll into like an 8th pick in this draft?
It's,
the Thunder are the only thing good about the market right now.
yeah, it's funny.
The only one in the green.
yeah.
Yeah, the other positive, road trip coming up for the Raps, so they're gonna get some good reps, good experience, but hopefully 1 of 6. What, 1 and 6? 1 and
Has the damage
2 and
already been
5?
done? Have they won too much though?
No.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Well,
I think 2 Orlando
there's still
games.
everything to play for.
I think those 2 Orlando games really cost.
So just after Philadelphia, at Utah, at Portland, at Phoenix, at Golden State. No, none of those are gimmies.
No.
Utah, I'm sure. I mean, listen, Utah, you've bottomed out enough. You made your point.
Yeah.
Play some guys here.
Well,
Play
'cause
some games. You're in the
But
bottom
there's
3,
no
Utah, okay?
difference between the bottom 3 odds,
Yep,
right?
exactly.
If you're
Yeah,
third
like-
last or first last, it makes no difference.
Danny Ainge, you made your point. Can you get a win at home?
Yeah, I don't
Please?
know about that.
Free John Collins.
Free John Collins, man. Where's Laurie Markkinen?
Like I said, Philly's the team. This game actually is the one.
it's-
It means everything.
Biggest game of the season.
It means
Yeah.
everything. We'll see about that.
That's it, man.
That's
Positive, negative. We're balanced here, fair and balanced. That's what we do. Lose games.
I might like.
What?
Nah.
What?
No.
Speak your truth.
Let's transition to some awards. Everything kind of seems to be the markets have been sort of bet into these things are looking like a wrap.
Yeah.
Is there? We got about, depending on what the teams are, about like 15 to 18 games left. Are you guys seeing any value anywhere to take a stab at an award?
You guys want to go for it?
Go ahead.
Yeah, awards are tough.
I mean, look, every award right now has a minus leader.
Yeah.
I think it's like minus 200 is the shortest, but I actually think Cade Cunningham at minus 250, that has dropped back down. I don't think there's any reason for it.
Yeah.
I actually think that's a big mistake on the books to try to be scared about Dyson Daniels. So here's the thing that jumps out to me and I laugh about. So Norm Powell was the guy.
Yep.
He was going to get Dyson Daniels. Injury has now taken him. He's not going to meet the requirement. Dyson Daniels now plus 350, whatever number he is. He's just over a few, like plus 350, plus 400. This guy was plus 10,000 2 weeks ago when Norm Powell was still healthy. So my question I always ask in these situations, what changed? Why is it that he was less than a 1% favorite or choice and now all of a sudden he's at this number? Tell me the story. What's different?
He's been kind of awesome, but no, I don't think enough. I agree with you. I love Cade at that number. And if you can find something else nice to staple that to get to even money, great. But Dyson Daniels has been really good.
No. So what I'm saying is, like, I agree with you, but your argument for what he was at 10,000 to 1 is the same as it's right now. So the only thing that's changed is Norman Powell is out of the picture,
Yep.
and Cade's now a shorter number than he was like just after that trade. I think that's value. I don't think you should get Cade to this number. I think it's good to remind people what Cade's case is. It's not about the statistical jump. Dyson Daniels.
Look at the wins. The Pistons are a legit real team.
Dyson Daniels has a statistical argument like with a bullet. This is a team that was dead last in the NBA, 28-game losing streak team. They are now at the same level of Golden State, Minnesota, a Western Conference final team. They're one behind Milwaukee, the ones who are supposed to be running away with their division before Cleveland stole it. Point I'm trying to make here is the expectations for Detroit were so low. They were a 26.5 win team coming into the year. This is where they are now. Cade is a first overall pick. He should never be in this position. I think he's going to override it because of how much their team success has really encapsulated the imagination of the vote.
I disagree with a first overall pick winning most improved player, but you would think that Detroit's going to be rewarded for their season. So this is the form of which, because I think Kenny Atkinson's run away with Coach of the Year with JB Bickerstaff. So, if you want to like balance everything out, I think that Cade will win the award, even though I disagree with it.
To Cade's credit, the stats were always there with him, but now he is contributing to winning, which before it was kind of empty calories. Now he's a major part of. He's the engine that runs that team.
Pick.
Yeah, I know. He's supposed to.
The spirit of the award should be someone like Dyson Daniels and not Cade.
Sure.
Yes.
But based on the way it's been given out, it's usually a guy who makes it the All-Star team for the first time.
Yeah.
That's Cade this year.
Yep.
He's making the leap. He's made a leap to a legit All-Star. That's usually what's been rewarded in the recent years. So it's his to lose.
He would be the 6th in a row.
Yeah.
He'd be the 6th in a row. Siakam's the last guy that wasn't part of that jump.
An interesting one for me, and I don't really have like a strong lean, but Defensive Player of the Year feels a little wide open right now. Evan Mobley is kind of a strong favorite, but I don't buy that case necessarily. I don't like Cleveland's defense isn't top 5. They're like a 8th or 9th best in the league. So why is he such an overwhelming favorite to win that award? I mean, Jared Allen's there. I think there's better defensive teams with players you can reward. Like, does someone on OKC get picked just because of how overwhelmingly good their defense has been? Does Dyson Daniels?
So
OKC's a collection, though, right?
Yeah.
It's everybody.
And
I know, but why is it Evan Mobley?
If Chet Holmgren was healthy,
But
that's the
Wemby or Chet would have
Doesn't
been.
Mobley also
Wemby,
go
yeah.
into like what Wes said with Detroit? I know you said they're not a top 5 defense, but you want to reward Cleveland's team success
That's
for
what it
all
is.
of that
Exactly.
winning, and then that's where that comes from.
But okay, Kenny Atkinson wins Coach of the Year. That's how you reward them. Why is Evan Mobley chosen? Is he the best defensive player in the league?
I mean,
Well, they should
DPOY,
just give it to Wemby.
Yeah,
The 65 game things, give it to Wemby.
Yeah, DPOY this season is one where I think the traders really are just kind of flummoxed about how do we actually price it properly. There's no clear-cut answer.
Well, what was Wemby before he got hurt? It was like minus
1,200.
Yeah, like it was something
2,000
stupid.
or something.
Yeah,
crazy.
so obviously it was like that for the whole year. So now all of a sudden you have this really crazy variable thrown into a market that they probably weren't really thinking too hard about. All of a sudden, they're scrambling to price it. Players are now who are off the board for months are now suddenly available to bet on. Like, it was all over the place. And I think, to Fab's point, Evan Mobley is kind of just like the best of a bad bunch of options. They don't really know. I think anything can still happen, but I think the writing's on the wall that they're going to give it to the team. that has
You know
the
what?
best
You want a
record.
dart throw?
Yeah, that's
Draymond Green. Yeah, 40-1.
I bet that a while ago.
All right. Golden
That'd be
State's
nice.
8th in defensive efficiency. They're on fire right now. Is there a world where they close the year so strong, their defense goes up to maybe top 5 or 6,
Yeah.
and you look at Draymond's pedigree and say,
Give
this
him
guy's the
another
defensive
decoy,
player
yeah.
of the year. I mean, 40-1.
I think you're a big is more likely to win the award. I think a lot of people have a bad taste.
No,
in
they
their
don't.
mouth
No one wants a guard after Marcus
after
Smart.
Marcus
Yeah.
Smart won the award, and I think a big just impacts defense a little bit more. So I think, to you guys' point, Mobley is the de facto guy.
What about you guys? Have a dart throw?
No, I mean, I would love to see someone from OKC get it. Like, even Dort. Like, I don't care if he's a guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you look at Cleveland and OKC, their argument is they're both just winning head and shoulders above everybody else. Well, OKC's winning by defense. That's really where they hang their hat on. Okay, defense and Shea. So I think there's someone on that end that should be rewarded, whereas Mobley is part of this generational offense. And that's what Cleveland's doing well this year. Yeah. So it just it doesn't add up to me, but I get why they won't give it to Dort, even though I think he's deserving.
What about you? Got a dart throw?
Not to do with awards. I think we've done pretty good with there. I got a juicy one. This is going to go against what I said last year. Milwaukee Bucks to win the East.
Oh.
All right,
We've gone
me out.
full circle.
hear me out. All right.
Well, what's the number?
It's like plus 2,000 right
Okay.
now to win the East. So right now they're currently sitting in 4th, right? Their first round matchup will be either against the Pacers or Pistons. Again, they're jockeying for position. Pistons are a good story. I think in that series
They ain't ready for the smoke in the
against a
first round,
motivated
yeah.
Giannis and Dame. I think they lose that, and I think Bucks have some hell to pay for what happened last year when they were injury riddled. And I did pick the Pacers to beat the Bucks last year.
Yeah.
Bucks vibes were off. Thought the coaching was poor, and now Doc Rivers there. Like, I kind of like how they've been under the radar. Giannis seems to be on a mission. Dame seems to be on a mission. You could think whatever you want about Kyle Kuzma.
Closer.
He's won a title as a role player with LA. Again, I'm not going to hang my hat on that acquisition, but this is all about Giannis and Dame come playoff time. So why I like them is at plus 2,000, your first round matchup is going to be against Indy, which you have payback motivation there, or Detroit, and then your second round matchup is against Cleveland, assuming they win. This is really
We've
a
said
bet.
it all year. Cleveland can get God.
This is a bet against Cleveland.
Yeah.
So I am fading Cleveland. I don't know if that's the right move considering how good they've looked all year. I know a lot of people argue that people aren't used to new things, right? And Cleveland is a new shiny object.
I don't give a shit, man. That Cleveland team is. I can't wait to bet against them.
Okay,
in,
so
in
you're-
the playoffs.
I'm not going that
I'm not
far.
there. I'm not
So you're with
First
me.
of all, you make me sick.
You make me sick.
Second of all,
I follow the money, man. I'm less than
okay,
Freeman.
I get it. You don't buy Cleveland as to win the title team.
Hold on,
sure,
but he
hold
can
on.
hedge out. He can
Hold
hedge
on,
out.
though. They've destroyed Milwaukee this year.
Yeah.
4 times. So Milwaukee doesn't really have the personnel to defend them well. Let's talk about Milwaukee's rotation. Lillard doesn't play defense. Gary Trent Jr. These are the guys
3-and-D.
you're like hanging your hat on.
Brook
Doc
Lopez-
Rivers.
I know.
And you're throwing out
No way.
Bucks to win the
NBA
East.
champion Doc
This-
Rivers.
You know what,
This is
Connor?
the-
Save this because we want to bring it
Save
back.
it. No,
bring
save
it back.
Save it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a value
yeah.
hunter, all right? I just hunt value, all right? To me, a motivated Giannis and Dame at plus 2,000 to beat Cleveland in a playoff series. I watched that
They
Cleveland.
still have to win
So hold
the
on,
next
hold on.
series,
So this
though.
is where I'm with Hambone. Up until then, you get to Boston, and then you hedge with Boston.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
that's
I would
the
put
point.
money down on Boston in some form. Again, obviously the odds aren't great. I have them tied to Denver to meet in the finals. That's another creative way if you want to go about it. But plus 2,000 with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Dame Lillard. Brook Lopez, I trust.
It's a good number.
It's a good number, man. And again, it's just Cleveland went to 7 last year with the Magic. It was a pitiful series.
Cleveland's much better. Okay, it's Dame Lillard's
I'm also-
playoff track record is some like sparkling.
made a conference finals.
Listen, man, Dame Lillard's
Once.
playoff
Yeah.
record. The guy
in a
takes big
loaded
shots.
West.
I know he's also way older. Okay, he had some
Plus
great
2,000.
he had some great moments with a Blazer, but I'm not saying he's like gonna propel the Bucks to win the East.
It's to me, it's Giannis, Dame, and Brook Lopez.
I get your point. It's about the number.
It's
you got-
plus
if you're-
2,000.
If someone's saying list your East teams likely to win, you're not going to have them one. But at the number, that's a good
I think
number.
most people would have it
I'm
as
just
Boston,
saying-
Cleveland, Milwaukee.
But I think Indiana could give Milwaukee a dogfight in round 1. I'm not even ready to say the Bucks are a lock to get out of the first round.
Maybe.
I'm just.
But
we'll see.
I think the Bucks got last year from Indy, and I think because they were injury riddled. And dude, a motivated Giannis, they've been under the radar.
It's
No
not-
one talking about
It's not a bet against It's not a bet against Giannis. I don't trust the fringes of their team.
Fair point.
Right?
This is a bet on Giannis. Like, this is what this is. At plus 2,000.
Sure.
Sprinkles.
20 to 1. I mean, that was your Christmas gift to me, so I guess I should hope for it to cash.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
All right.
Like, tell me I'm wrong.
It's actually you got
Save
it.
the tape.
Oh, sorry, you actually got it from me at a worse price than it is now. It's actually double now.
Which is questionable. Why is it better now? I don't know, man.
All right, let's finish
Value.
with a little etiquette here because it's fantasy basketball playoffs right now.
Toxic
And
time of year.
Yeah, the group chats are getting ugly, but let's talk about a couple things here because I was shamed for something I did, and I want to throw it to the commenters because I don't think I should be shamed. If you're fighting for playoff positioning, or say in my instance, fighting for a #1 seed, also known as the HT, the Hambone title, is it okay to text someone else saying, start your roster because they're playing someone you need to lose? Are you okay? Say I'm playing Hambone and you're playing Fab. You're the 2 seed, I'm the 1 seed, Fab's a 10 seed. Fab doesn't have his starters in. Are you mad if I text Fab saying, put your starters in because I need you to put up a fight against Wes?
I would say, as long as you don't mind if someone does it to you,
Yeah, of course. It's
golden rule, then fine. All right, but some
Live
people,
by the scum, die by the scum.
some people would throw up. Why'd you message that?
people
person?"
are throwing up
I disagree with it. Only because of this. If that person has consistently not been setting their lineups, now they're going to activate their whole team because they need to help you. I don't think that's competitive. Like, be consistent with whatever you're doing. If that person's not setting them, then don't set them because that's clearly what you've laid out. So just do what you're always been.
But I would say maybe it's on the other people to text in those situations to say set your lineup.
I got an addendum to that. In any situations like that, that's grounds for dismissal in that league.
Is
cut.
what?
If
Oh,
that
yeah,
person's
yeah.
not,
If you're not setting
that
lineup, you
person's
should
not
be
setting your
booted. Yeah.
lineup,
Yeah, yeah.
cut. You're cut. You're out. Regression.
I'm okay with keeping lineups set. It's just, when you're making like superfluous pickups, like that's your move when you're like in 12th.
Hold on.
You're like 14 games out of 8.
If
you're like, there's still a chance.
if I'm mathematically still alive,
Yeah, but
I will make moves to try to get
You've
in.
dropped like marquee players in the past, like
are-
pretty good, like top 100 guys to chase like
There was the Devin Booker incident of 2018, and that was but
It's a joke.
But I got into playoffs. I got in.
I believe in
check
losing
the
with
tape.
grace. If I don't feel like there's an actual chance, just don't rock the boat. Don't change the outcome of the league with some crazy trade.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, sorry. You're just basically just calling out Mo and Marty in our league for doing just that. Bring
well,
up the
those
thing.
guys, I mean,
So-
they lurk in the shadows, man. They're just
They live.
Oh, they live
They
in
were
the
born.
shadows.
They were born in the
Yeah,
shadows.
they really
so
were.
let me just bring this up, and commenters, please let us know because I think this is going way too far. If you have multiple injured people and you're scrapping to get into playoffs, and you trade those multiple injured people who are going to be out for 1-2 weeks to a top 2 seed, just so you can get into playoffs as the 8 seed, I think that is like.
And these are like non-keeper leagues, so really like
Well, who was traded? It was Sabonis and like. So if
it was
Sabonis is healthy
Sabonis
in the
for
week,
Eves Misi, your boy.
yeah.
Listen,
got it right.
If you have an IR spot,
Zeke Naji.
if you have an IR spot for one of your top 2 players, use that instead of you pawned him off to someone else for like a crappy player.
So yeah.
So what? You couldn't have just put him on IR and picked someone up?
So in terms
No,
of,
you have to get Yves Misi.
My boy.
What are we doing? Your boy, Zeke Naji,
Zeke
your
Naji.
boy.
So
Okay, no, to put a bow on it.
So wait, that's nefarious. We're saying the trade is nefarious, but texting an opponent is okay.
I'm okay with
It's
that.
fair.
I'm okay
It's
with
fair
that.
enough, like-
now, the one I don't like, which was something that was kind of flirted with the final week of the season.
Oh,
where
here we go.
where our boy Mo, who again lives in the shadows, on
Born
Monday
in it.
morning just benched all of his guys just so he can duck like certain playoff matchups. That to me is nefarious. And the guy he was playing was actually in a competition to make the playoffs
With you.
with me, and 3 other teams. So it's like that to me is like spineless.
So I will agree that's spineless, and I would never do this. But here's my question: if it's going to set yourself up with a more favorable playoff matchup, is it okay? I know you don't think it's okay. Wes, what do you think?
he was still in contention
I know.
for
He's
first in the
next.
league.
Yeah,
he's
I mean that the situation depends. Like, let's just say in that situation where you're trying to set up for a specific matchup, but doesn't affect, like the other team's not affected, like that team's out of it. Do whatever you want.
Yes.
You're allowed to do whatever you want. When you're saying like it's affecting other people in seeding, money's on the line, like you don't do that.
My problem with
I
it
wouldn't do
is
that.
doing it on Monday. I think if it's Saturday or Sunday and you know you can't catch first place, then I'm okay with benching things to try to work out for seeding.
Yes.
But I'm like you, Fab. I'm a let the chips fall where they may. You don't know who you're going to get. There's too many
bad
other
karma
determining
otherwise.
factors.
I pray to the fantasy gods, old and new, and just see what happens. That's it. Just be respectful. Play your hardest.
Yeah, I don't mind the texting to tell someone, hey, set your lineups, even though they haven't done for a couple weeks. And again, to your point, like people who aren't at the very least setting lineups, like you can make I had a couple injured guys in a league.
No, if you're not setting lineups, you're booted.
Yeah,
I agree.
just set lineups to keep the integrity of the league alive. I actually think like an incentive for teams at the bottom. So if you finish last, you got to pay double your entry fee. I think these are ways.
See, this is one, and this is credit to Luke Wilson in our fantasy football league, who's trying to push a C to a B. He wants
relegation.
a 2-league structure
Relegation, yeah.
where the bottom two are getting relegated and the top two are going up. If you have the bodies, and for our football league, I think we could stretch that out so there's enough to do that.
There's interest.
Because there's a wait list of people wanting to get in. That's a great idea. But I do love, if you're last place, double the fee, because then that is going to force people to try to pay attention.
The one fantasy football league I'm in, if you finish last, you have to host the draft and pay for food for the
Also
next
great.
draft.
That's what to do.
And everyone tries their hardest because of it.
Yeah, that's a good way to get a consolation bracket.
Give people a reason not to just like do nefarious right? Like to not bench their guys, and then all of a sudden, like Wes has had a cupcake schedule in one of our fantasy leagues,
Every
right?
week.
Versus every week versus
Every
like
league.
every league every week
Every
versus like someone else who's in a dog fight, right? Like that shouldn't be that way. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you end up facing that bad team twice, whereas other teams only got to face them once. I think whatever incentive you can do to get the bottom feeders,
get them
at
paying
least
attention,
play with
engaged.
honor. Yeah, play
And
with honor.
To Fab's point about the person hosting and paying for the league, and maybe this is a direct message to Luke Wilson. If you're a former pro in NBA or NFL, you should be hosting the draft and paying for everybody anyways.
Yeah, Luke Wilson.
Yeah. So thanks, Luke.
In advance.